Hello, how are you, my drama team? Today's story wraps us up in a whole teenage drama full of love, jealousy, friendships, bullying, and much more. Get ready, because this drama brings everything. Spoiler alert. The series begins with Narai, a young student who is having something with her best friends before going to the mall to spend the day. There, they buy a stuffed crocodile, and after eating, they sing and have fun together at a karaoke place. On the way home, one of her friends, named Yuna, says goodbye to her since she has chosen the science track and they will not be able to keep studying together. Next day, Narai takes some food from her father's cafeteria to eat with her friends on her first day of high school. When she gets there, the protagonist is puzzled to see a hole in the ceiling, but her friends brush it off and leave to get more food. When she goes back to class, Nari finds a student named Chan resting on her desk on top of her stuffed crocodile. So she walks over to scold him. However, far from regretting it, he decides to sit next to her. Later, the teacher urges the students to choose the class delegate, and after holding the vote, Narai is chosen against her will. In this way, little by little, the students begin going to her to complain over and over again, and one morning, because of the huge noise made by the students in the class upstairs, her classmates urge her to go scold them. So she heads there along with her best friend to speak with the delegate. When Narui receives them, she freezes at the handsome young man, Seung. After hearing the delegate's complaints, he apologizes and promises to speak with his classmates about it. However, upon returning, the class above keeps making noise, so they decide to start a battle with them, repeatedly pounding on the ceiling throughout the entire duration of their scheduled class time. Which causes Seung, the delegate of the upstairs class, to come down to their classroom and ask them for an explanation. However, she coldly denies what happened and assures him that her classmates are excellent students. In this context, the back and forth between both delegates is repeated day after day. However, both Nari and Seung lie and ignore the others' complaints and do nothing to stop the war between the classes from happening. However, one morning the teacher realizes what is happening and summons the two delegates to his office to ask them for an explanation. There, Narai convinces the professor by showing him recordings of the noise Seung's class makes. Seung, though he tries to defend his class's attitude, finally ends up taking all the responsibility himself in the end. When they leave the office, Nari makes fun of him for what happened, and minutes later, he goes to the fountain where she is drinking water to tease her, but she splashes him. And they begin arguing to the point that one of Seung's classmates alerts the students, and both classes begin an all-out battle among everyone. Several days later, the students from the upstairs class throw trash through the hole and hang several bills to make fun of the students who try to jump to grab them. Narai falls into the trap and they photograph her after she falls to the floor. However, shortly afterwards, she manages to get the bills and Seung comes down to ask for them back. When he shows her the photograph they took of her, he apologizes to Narai, who that night meets up to have dinner with her friends. The following day, Narui is surprised to run into Seung in the elective advertising class she signed up for. She also spots an acquaintance, but despite her efforts to talk to her, the girl ignores her completely, leaving Narui confused by her cold and dismissive behavior. When class ends and Narai asks her for an explanation, she assures her that she still has not told anyone that she knew her, and after that she goes to her father's cafeteria, where she finds out through her friends that Yuna is going to start working there. Because of the young woman's enormous attractiveness, the customers begin to increase exponentially, and one morning Seung even shows up to buy something there. Back at school, Nari is sitting and chatting with her friends when suddenly, several students come over to ask her to deliver a gift to a girl from another class on behalf of one of her classmates. However, before doing it, she goes to talk to him to try to convince him to confess and give her the gift himself. Faced with his refusal, she finally goes to the girl's classroom to give her the gift from her classmate. When she finds out who the sender is, she gets angry and throws it in the trash. To keep her classmate from finding out what happened, Nari takes the gift out of the trash and, in Seung's presence, cleans it with her sweatshirt, making herself look like a good person. After class, they head to the laundromat together to wash the protagonist's sweatshirt. Seung covers her with his jacket so she does not get cold during the wait for her clothes. However, her friends suddenly appear and warn Seung to stay away from her. The next day, Narai assures them that he is just a friend. Nevertheless, they advise her not to fall in love with him under any circumstances. But despite the warnings, as the days go by, the love between them becomes apparent. And one morning, the delegate of the publicity class asks them to create a promotional video for the school. Later, Nari runs into her classmate Chan and he invites her to eat together after class. There, he begins flirting with her, making it clear that he is in love. Next day, while they are filming the promotional video, Nari trips, but Seung arrives in time to save her. Nari tree. who is left speechless, later comes back to give him a sweet from her father's cafeteria, but she ends up arguing with him. Chan, who witnesses what happened, walks over to cover her with his jacket, which makes Seung jealous, and he stands there watching him in a challenging way. Later, Nari realizes that the USB with the promotional video they had recorded for the school has been stolen. So, after being scolded by the delegate, she apologizes for what happened and takes full responsibility in front of the teachers. After that, she asks the delegate for a second chance to record a new video, and although he warns her that there is only 1 week left until the deadline, she commits herself and tells them that she will achieve the best result possible. This way, she gathers all her friends and together they begin recording at the school. That is how they manage to film an ingenious video in which they use a dog as if it were just another student, studying and having fun with them. However, when Narai heads to give the video to the teacher, it turns out that the classmate she knew gives her the USB they had stolen with the original video, which causes the protagonist to leave visibly affected. Despite Seung's attempts to comfort her, Narui remains angry about what happened and decides to show her video to the school principal, who quickly congratulates her on her good work. So after this, the class holds a vote to choose the winning video. However, Narai goes to complain about the delegate's attitude to the principal, who, after what happened, decides to suspend the publicity class. Later on, Nari is with Seung in the park, and little by little, the attraction between them becomes more and more noticeable. However, the protagonist cannot find the courage to confess her love to him. And as this happens, Chan misreads Naru's looks, and his hopes grow as the days pass. One afternoon, Naru is in the cafeteria, thinking of Seung, and he appears just to buy her something to eat, even though she wants him to confess his love to her. Then the protagonist serves him more food than usual and decides to leave with him for the place where she usually meets with her friends. There, Narui hurts her wrist, and when he tries to show concern for her, she rejects his help and runs off, while Chan, who had gone there to confess his love to her, witnesses everything that happened with great disappointment. Later on, Narurai sees Seung talking with the girl she knows, who is the same one who stole the USB from her backpack, so motivated by jealousy, she approaches him once they finish their conversation and confesses her feelings to him. However, he is left frozen, not knowing what to answer. Later, Narui tells her friends what happened, and little by little, she notices how Seung begins to blatantly avoid her until she gets fed up with his attitude and asks him for an explanation. That's right, girl, always be straightforward. However, he is not able to give a clear answer, and Narai leaves visibly angry. At night, Chan goes to the cafeteria and invites her to eat something together to try to cheer her up. Hope is the last thing you lose. Days later, Seung's classmates cheer him for his work as delegate, and afterward he chooses Narai's acquaintance as his assistant, causing the protagonist to burst into tears as she leaves disappointed. When he sees her, Seung goes after her, but Chan gets there first and tries to comfort her while Seung watches the scene from a distance. The next day, Narui seems down and Chan decides to take her to the infirmary so she can rest. Meanwhile, her friends go to Seung to reproach him for his attitude and blame him for their friend's distress. Afterwards, Seung tries to get close to Nari to talk to her, but she avoids even looking at him, and Chan covers her face with his jacket to make sure she does not look at him. Later, our protagonist is calm in the cafeteria when Seung suddenly comes in to apologize to her. After that, he leaves the place and writes to a friend of his to inform him that his mother is sick, letting us see the reason why he has not been able to focus on Nari since she confessed her love to him. For her part, Nari begins to grow even closer to Chan, and little by little, she begins to fall in love with him, ending the series with both of them together and happy, arriving at school alongside the protagonist's friends. And that is how it ends. Without a doubt, it is an ending I did not expect, but I still liked it. What do you all think? Did Chan deserve to end up with Narai's love? Or was Seung the right one and he lost his chance? Tell me what you would have liked more. Subscribe for more dramas, turn on notifications, and do not forget to leave us a like. Goodbye.